Good evening, my YouTube friends and family. This is a long-awaited video response to username This Is 3D. He asks, posted this as a response to my video, which I believe is called the Atheist Most Feared Question. But he put up a fair question to the religious, and I've been meaning to get to this for a while. He posted this some time ago. I apologize. I got a virus that I've been eradicating, and I've been not wanting to dabble with downloading YouTube videos until I got that taken care of. So, nonetheless, let's get right to his question.
So recently there's been a trend of people asking atheist questions, mostly Christians.
Okay, so that's true. There have been a lot of Chris, Christians asking atheist questions, but this has been a two-way street for some time. Just Google a question for Christians, and you will see a glut of questions out there from atheists to Christians. Carrying on.
And I think it's only fair that we, the atheist community, get to ask questions back.
I couldn't agree more, so ask away, good sir.
So I have a question for the religious people out there, mostly to the Christians who've been asking the questions, but anyone religious can answer. And for the purposes of this question, I'm going to, pretend there is some sort of God out there who watches and, keeps track of what people do.
Now, this is a very important distinction. You're saying that he watches and he's keeping track of the things that you do. It's a very important distinction.
My question for you is, what if this God were to speak, straight to the hearts of everyone in the world, so you knew what he was saying was true and you knew it was coming straight from the God? What if he said that it doesn't matter what religion you are, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, atheist, doesn't care about praise, doesn't care about being worshipped. Going to heaven or hell is completely determined by whether or not you have been a good person. Not going to go into the criteria of, what's good, what's bad, what would tip you one way or the other.
This is the fatal flaw in your analogy, is that you have to set forth a standard. Without a standard, um, you have to know. Now you might say, well, we all basically know that it's wrong to kill people, and okay, fine. Let's make the standard the last five of the Ten Commandments. Let's just make it 6 through 10. We'll wipe out 1 through 5. Well, really, 1 through 4 are the horizontal ones, that you shall have no other God before me, no graven images, no blasphemy, keeping the Sabbath, things like that. Let's just take a look at lying. We know lying is wrong. We know stealing is wrong. We know killing is wrong. We know adultery is wrong. So now the question becomes, how you doing with that? How are you holding up those standards? Because I think we can universally agree on those ones. Have you ever told a lie? Have you ever stolen anything, regardless of value? Because I don't think that with any God, regardless of the lack of holiness in this God that you're putting forth, um, still gonna see the heart. What was your heart condition when you stole that thing? Um, have you ever committed adultery? Jesus said, if you look with lust, you commit adultery in your heart. And he also said that if you're angry without cause, that you commit murder in your heart. You see, because all sin really begins in the heart. So that's really the fatal flaw here in your analogy, is that you have to have a standard to put forth. And I think that the ones that I've put forth are probably a pretty good starting point. Just the horizontal commandments are the standard, and how we treat each other. Love your neighbor as yourself, the golden rule. Most of us fall woefully short of that. So that's a problem. Even with this unholy God that you're putting forth.
Just sort of general question. Religion doesn't matter. How would that affect you? Would you become more devout, less devout? What would you do? Thanks.
The God you've basically just described here is Allah. Bottom line is that you've you've put forth a God that's holy, that's just, and holiness isn't even really all that important to this God if he doesn't want praise and worship, as you said earlier. Um, so it's really not even a lie. You've put forth a God of justice because you said that he is keeping an account. He's keeping track of the things that we've done, and he doesn't care what religion. Okay, great. He doesn't care what religion we are, but we're still going to have to give an account. And again, looking at those standards I put forth a few minutes ago, we're all in big trouble. So you've put forth a God that is really half a God of justice, and a God of, I'll even give you holiness, okay? Um, so yeah, it would change radically the way that I live my life. It would make me far less devout because it would be like trying to climb a rope made of sand to get to heaven to please this God. It would be impossible. Um, because how much good do I have to do to outweigh my bad? How many what do I have to do to undo the lies that I've told? And if we look at it from a logical standpoint, if I'm in a court of law and I'm guilty of serious crimes, my good is not necessarily going to be taken into account by the judge. If I'm guilty of rape and murder, or even if I'm just guilty of shoplifting or DWI or something, it doesn't matter how much money I've given to charity. I'm still guilty of those crimes, and that fine needs to be paid. So you've put forth half a God. Let me tell you about my God. Let me tell you about the God of the Bible, who is rich in mercy, who is patient, and who isn't willing that any should perish, but put forth his one and only Son, Jesus Christ, to pay for your lying, your stealing, your lust, your murder of the heart, your covetousness, for not keeping the Sabbath, for even all the horizontal sins, of course, which you are going to have to give an account for. This is the God that you should search for. This is the God that you should be worshiping, because this is a God that's worthy of your worship, because he gave everything to redeem you and to buy you back to himself and putting forth his Son. You have a fine. Jesus paid the fine for you so that you're free to go. Justice was paid for at the cross, and mercy, justice and mercy met at the cross so that you can be set free from your sin, and not just set free, not just found innocent and or not seen as not guilty. I mean, even OJ was found not guilty, and nobody buys that. But it's better than that, because the Bible says that he who knew no sin, Jesus, became sin for us, so that in him we can have the righteousness of God. So when we stand before God in our judgment, he no longer sees us in our sinfulness. He looks at us and he sees his perfect Son, Jesus Christ, born of a virgin, born perfect, lived the perfect life. He obeyed all of God's commandments perfectly, and he died on the cross. He died the death that you and I deserve, so that we can be reconciled to him. So this is a God that is worthy of worship, and he does care about worship, and he does care about praise, and he does care about justice. And if you die in your sin, this is where I'm going to plead with you. You need to consider this very carefully, because eternity is a long time and you don't know when you're going to take your last breath. If you die in your sin, you have to pay that fine yourself. And because God is infinitely holy, the penalty is infinite, and it's eternity in hell. But again, God is rich in mercy, and he reaches out his hands of forgiveness to you today. So I hope that this video is helpful. I hope it gave you some insight on where I'm coming from on this. So, and I appreciate you taking the time to make a video response to me, and I appreciate your patience and waiting for it to come forth. So, yeah, make some more videos, and if you ever want to do a Google Hangout or something, send me a PM. I'd love to talk to you, dude. All right, take care. Good night. Bye bye.